All right, people, welcome back. Black is More podcast. Thank you for joining us as always. I told you we had a surprise for you this week. And as you can see, there's a different component to the podcast. This is not Marcel you're seeing. This is the other half of the Brain Trust, Aaron, however you want to address me. So thank you all for joining. Marcel, how you feeling, man?
Feeling great, man. They could be anywhere in the world, but they're here with us.
That's right. That's beautiful. So real quick before we get started, get into things, I just wanted to kind of address the reason that we're adding the video component. So, with the Black is More podcast, we're really trying to create a brand essentially. And not to like get rich or anything, but we just want you all to associate trust and facts and knowledge and good opinions and good discussion with the podcast. And in order to do that, we want to constantly expand. We want to constantly do different things to kind of grab people's attention. And one thing that I think we're going to try to do is let you guys see who we are. I mean, if you're going to trust us, you need to see who we are and be able to associate a face with the personalities and the voices that you're hearing. So that's the reason that we're trying to do this. Just trying to make it better. So Marcel is coming. He's not going to be on this one, but we were talking before. He has a lot more to lose than I do. So I'm going to be the test dummy. Yeah.
I got the feds after me, so
right.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't going to tell them all that.
Yeah, the federales. Yeah. No, I'm joking, guys.
So,
but I'll be on soon. I just gotta see how this
coming.
video thing turns out. That's all.
Right? Yeah, we gotta like I said, I'm doing the test, so we'll see how that turns out. So if you like what you're seeing, I am single, so just putting that out there. Even though this isn't about me. But anyway, so we got 3 topics. The first one we're gonna talk about Johnny Manziel. Former NFL football player. I mean, I guess he's still in. He didn't retire or anything. Johnny Manziel, football player. And kind of some things that are going on with him and his workouts and the turnout that he got versus Colin Kaepernick. So we'll do some things there. That'll be really quick. Then we're going to talk about Stephon Clark, the young man in Sacramento who unfortunately lost his life due to the police shooting him. So we'll dive into all that. And we're going to talk about the March for Our Lives rally protest that happened this past weekend. There was a huge turnout, so we'll kind of tie the Stephon Clark situation into that. And then lastly, we'll talk about the Austin bomber. Do not remember this guy's name. It does not matter. Terrorist, in my mind, but we'll dive into that.
The news calls him a challenged man and a devout Christian.
Right.
So
devout Christian.
Just know.
Yeah. So, I think I remember. So I saw a tweet, and I'm getting ahead of myself, but about this guy was just kind of making fun of how the news portrays white males when they do something like this, and he was like, "Child of God sends mother and father home to heaven." This Saturday. Like, I mean, that's really how it is. But anyway, I'm not getting ahead of myself. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Austin bomber and kind of how the media portrays these guys. So yeah, that's what you got to look forward to. So first topic, Johnny Manziel, NFL football player. He was drafted by the Cleveland Browns. I want to say like 2-3 years ago. Went to Texas A&M. He was not like a first round pick or anything, but he was he was a name that was being tossed around a lot for teams that potentially needed quarterbacks. So he got drafted. Had a very short stint in the league. Wasn't very effective on the field, if I'm being honest. And then on top of that, he had some off the field issues. And you guys can look this man's story up just to verify and get some more information. But so fast forward to now, he's out the league, because of various things. And he did a workout. I want to say this past weekend. And he had 13 NFL teams send representatives to see if they wanted to have this man on their roster. So, the reason that we're kind of, looking at this is because Colin Kaepernick, I remember he recently put out a video of him throwing the ball around, just trying to, spark some interest, trying to get some teams looking at him. And there, it was just him and the boys. Like he was just throwing the ball around. It, looked like a high school or something. Nobody was there. Johnny Manziel happens to be a white quarterback. Colin Kaepernick knelt during the playing of the national anthem. Nobody shows up. And so actually Johnny Manziel tweeted about that, about the comparison between the two. But before I kind of look at those tweets, so what do you think about that situation? Like, what is there to be said about just the response you're getting from these two men?
I'm going to try to be brief with this. So, let me start off by saying I understand the owner's point of view as far as not wanting to lose sponsorship over, bringing in a quarterback that has rubbed some companies the wrong way and some viewership the wrong way. And if they were to bring them in, it would be a circus and they would lose some money. I understand that. So all I'm going to say is one quarterback has never been arrested and has only done something that would rub, racist people the wrong way or people who don't understand the military the wrong way.
Yeah.
Another quarterback who has clearly had a substance abuse problem, an alcohol problem, and they've had domestic abuse allegations thrown their way. Now, with the climate of the NFL today, one of the biggest issues is that domestic abuse is running rampant inside of the NFL. Well, if it was up to me to save face for my PR team, I would definitely make sure I wouldn't have 13 scouts at that particular place. But they did. So that's where I stand. Everybody can read between the lines of what I'm saying. Clearly, white privilege should be the name of this episode because we're pretty much going to talk about the entire episode. But this right here is just another case of, hey, everybody deserves a second chance. It could be far greater. Yeah. Only when it's a white guy. But go ahead, Aaron.
Well, no, I agree with you, man. I think it's not much to be said here. I think it is worth pointing out again because we want to equip the people listening with the knowledge, of what's going on today. But yeah, and Johnny Manziel addressed this situation because he knew or kind of felt like he was being compared to Colin Kaepernick. So he had, he tweeted like 5 tweets, kind of giving his opinion on it, and he's acknowledging that, hey, I know Colin Kaepernick is not in the league for non-football things,
right?
Like, so he's pretty much saying, it's not because he's not talented. Like, Manziel's going on to say like, hey, he took a team to the Super Bowl. Yeah, man, it doesn't make sense. Selective outrage comes to mind, something we've talked about.
Yep.
Like it. Yeah, and on what you're saying, like I can understand, like you said, some teams not wanting to be associated with Kaepernick, from a business perspective, right? About business, like it's bad for business. But just say that, don't mask it behind like, oh well, he doesn't fit our system. This man deserves to be on an NFL roster.
Right.
I'm not saying he deserves to start, but I know there are tons of teams, if their starting quarterback went down, would love to have somebody as talented and as experienced as Colin Kaepernick.
Right.
And the fact that, he's having to put out damn Twitter and YouTube videos to get interest versus Johnny Manziel, he just show up and got 13 scouts. Come on, man. Like they say freedom, we have the right to speak freely and things like that, but obviously that's not the case. Like obviously Colin Kaepernick is suffering from that. But he's fighting a good fight, man. Right. This man literally sacrificed his career for the greater good. And he still wants to play, man. The man, and that's the thing I guess is tough because I know he loves football. you don't make it to the NFL if you don't love football.
Right.
And so for him to be put on the back burner and not be able to do something he loves because, he's passionate about something else he loves, which is black people, his people. That's it's tough, man. It's the world we live in, man.
Yeah,
White
I mean,
privilege.
it's pretty tough. And my thing is, yes, people do deserve second chances,
Mm-hmm.
and Colin Kaepernick should get a second chance. He's clearly told
Yeah.
everybody that, he's not going to protest the same way as far as the national anthem is concerned. So if Johnny Manziel can get a second chance, why not Colin Kaepernick? It's that
Right.
simple.
Right. And I think, your point about the domestic violence stuff, that's so huge in the NFL.
Big
Like
time.
I mean, the whole Ray Rice thing and
Yeah.
Ezekiel Elliott, like that's been such a front page headliner, bad publicity for the NFL. And then, you have a guy who's being accused of it,
Mm-hmm.
potentially has some history of it versus a guy who all he did, man, I'm not even about to. Yeah, look, y'all know where we stand. Like I said, Kaepernick is fighting a good fight, man. He really is. So it's unfortunate. It's the world we live in.
And we as
Anything
black
else on that?
people,
Oh, go ahead.
and minorities, we should, take time and help donate to whatever Colin is, raising money for. That's something we need to
Yeah.
do. We need to look out for him since he's looked out for us. And
Yeah, seriously.
that's all I want to say about that.
Yeah, I mean he sacrificed millions, man.
Right.
He sacrificed millions of dollars. Cause you know what? I guarantee you, if he would have came out and said the opposite, he would still be in the league.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
If he
So,
was Des Bryant, he would be in the
Right.
league.
Right. Exactly. So, all right. Next topic. So Stephon Clark, and the March for Our Lives, rally protest that happened this weekend was a giant. I mean, it was a huge turnout. And one thing that surprised me was that the turnout that you saw in other countries, like people just kind of feeling the hurt of the individuals here in the States who are like, yeah, man, we got to do something. But before we get into that, Stephon Clark was a young man in Sacramento who was running from the police or trying to evade something like that. It was dark, and he went into his grandmother's backyard. The police told him to get on the ground. And I don't know how, like, he had a cell phone in his hand, and they mistook it for a gun, and shot the man 20 times. 20 times, killed him. And the video is out there. The Sacramento Police Department, or whoever put the video out there, because they're trying to be transparent. Because of course they think their officers, acted appropriately and all that stuff. But before we get to the March for Our Lives, so what? I mean, here we are again, right? Like, I feel like that's kind of what really drove us, or drove a lot of people to kind of get involved in social issues.
Right.
And I know for a while I felt like all we were talking about on the podcast, because it felt like it was happening every damn month.
Right.
But I mean, yeah. What have you seen the video? And if so, what do you think of, like all the stuff, the whole situation with Stephon Clark?
I wasn't sure if he was like running or anything. I thought he was just in his grandma's backyard.
Okay. Oh yeah. I may have misspoke.
Yeah. So
I'm
he's in the back of his grandma's backyard, and the cops think that this is the guy that they were told about, who allegedly had a crowbar.
Right.
He was supposed to have had a crowbar, whoever the assailant was, and this kid had a white iPhone. Okay, I looked at the video, and if I'm not mistaken, he has a gun, was yelled, and then shots came out. Now,
Yep.
my biggest issue is a white kid or a white man can walk into a church, shoot 9 people dead, and be escorted
Mm-hmm.
out and given Burger King when
Yep.
he has a gun. This officer, whoever yelled out he has a gun, him and his henchmen basically said he has a gun. He's far more dangerous than a guy who had previously killed 9 people. Look all over around the world. If the Austin bomber was alive, like if he
Mm-hmm.
didn't detonate a bomb and killed himself, he would definitely be alive today.
Yeah. No.
And
I think they would have caught
and
him alive. Yep.
I'm just sick of, black people, minorities included, being murdered for no reason. I don't
Yeah.
care what the issue
And
was.
nothing happening.
Right, he was supposed to have had a crowbar. So a crowbar turned into a gun. And it pretty much proves that these officers aren't fit to be officers.
Yeah.
If you were out there in that backyard and you shot something, you shouldn't be an officer. That's how I look at it. And
Mm-hmm.
not to crap on the March of Our Lives or whatever that crap was called. But I'm very proud of the city of Sacramento. The very next day, the Sacramento Kings had a basketball game, and I think it was against the
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta Hawks. And they started protesting. A lot of young kids were protesting. It was thousands of people out there, and they pretty much shut off the entrance for people to like go into the game. So there were probably like 2,000 people already in the arena, but
Mm-hmm.
the arena sits about like 10,000 people. So everybody else was turned back around because of the protest.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are able to protest something like that, and I can see it on ESPN, that makes me proud, as opposed to
Yeah.
waiting for a huge day and waiting for celebrities to come through, which is never going to happen when the black kid dies. Let me just point that out. But just seeing kids and people in the community, stand up for something right then and there, it made me proud.
Mm-hmm.
But it also pisses me off that stuff like this happens all the time in black neighborhoods across the United States of America, and you
Yeah.
might get a tweet from a celebrity, but you're not about to, you know, get anything else. And it pisses me off from our black celebrities and just people in general that have any type of, pull, that it's
Yeah.
like that. But when a white school gets shot up, everybody's in tears. Let's talk about it. Let's have a platform. Let's give them CNN. Let's give them MSNBC. Let's give them everything. But when a black kid who they said a robbery suspect, they didn't call him anything else but a robbery suspect. Why
Yeah.
wasn't he a devout Christian? Why wasn't he a nice family man? The man had a family. He had a woman with like 2 kids, and yet
Yep.
he's known as a robbery suspect.
Mm-hmm.
If anything I could tell the media and anybody who supports the media, fuck the media and fuck you. Like, it's clearly there's a huge problem with our society, and it's not even close to being fixed. So I don't want anybody in this
Yeah.
world talking about but we've done this, we've come. No, we haven't. They figure out other ways to paint this shit, and it's the same shit. You could put cologne and perfume on it, but it's still shit at the end of the fucking day. And it's just sick. It's sad, and I really don't have much to say. This it
Yeah.
blows, man.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's sad, man. Like it, this is, and like you said, I think we are just so far from from fixing it, man. Like there's so many subconscious influences that are causing this. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
it's not a coincidence that you're having these individuals who commit these heinous terroristic crimes, but they're labeled and treated way differently. Like this, Stephon Clark, he was accused of robbing car, like taking parts off cars or something.
Yeah.
Like let's say that was true. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like just like you pointed out, there was a man who walked up into a church and killed 9 people and went home. He was alive at the end of it.
He was given
like
Burger
that,
King.
Right. They fed him.
Royalty.
They fed this man, bro. Right. And so one thing. So one thing that I kept thinking about, with the whole Stephon Clark situation, I think that just the whole training system, like the whole process of like bringing new officers in is broken. Like it's completely broken because they are taught if you think there is somebody with a gun, kill them.
Mm-hmm.
And if they make a mistake, oh well, it's just a mistake. If I make a mistake at work, maybe somebody gets booked into the wrong time for their appointment.
Right.
The worst thing that's gonna happen is I have to apologize and say, hey, we apologize, we'll fix it, but nobody's gonna lose their life. But for these guys, when they make a mistake, people are dying, man.
Right.
And it seems to be always black people. I think the training is just completely, because I want to give these officers, I don't know who they are. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they didn't just wake up and say, hey man, next unarmed black man we see, we're just going to take them out. But I think they've just been trained so much to like, hey, if you think that there's danger, you kill that mother. You do it right there, then and there. You go home.
Only if it's a black person, though.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Because have you seen? I've seen a number of videos where a white male is going crazy on a cop, like hitting him.
Yep.
Threatening to kill him, and the officer will literally just sit there, might try to fight him back, but not one time will think to use a gun and shoot him. And even if they use a gun, they're using a taser gun, in which not too many officers use on black people. I'd rather hear, and this is sad, I'd rather hear a story where a person got stunned to death as opposed to, shooting them 20 times. 20 times with a white cell phone that you mistaken for a gun. How many people own white guns?
Yeah, that's
that's
just
and if the suspect had a crowbar, how the hell is a crowbar the size of a freaking iPhone? So these officers clearly, I honestly feel, and this is just me, I honestly feel that a number of police have a quota to make on killing black people. And this is just me, because it makes no freaking sense. Now, I will tell you my overall idea on what they're trying to do. Now, the whole quota thing might be far-fetched. I agree. It could be far-fetched. But here's what I really think is happening. I think that they are really trying to get black people and just people in general so fed up that we all start to riot so they could bring in martial law. That's what I think.
Nothing surprises me anymore.
And this ties into the whole gun situation. If they do martial law, then we're going to take away your guns, and therefore stuff like these school shootings happen. Let me tell you something. These private agencies who clearly get tips on these people before they do stupid shit, they can easily stop these people. But to me, there's an agenda, and you're willing to lose lives to make sure that agenda is met. And that's That's just what I think about it. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy, man. Like the discrepancy in how often this happens to people of color. um, yeah, I mean it's something going on, man. And I go back to I always think about that video that we've referenced several times on the show. Of the little kids, little black kids, and they showing them two dolls, and they say which one's the bad one, and they're pointing to the black doll, and they say which one's the good one. They point to the white doll. There's something being taught, man. There's something being put out there to just say like black men are dangerous, and it started from as far back as you can go. It started back when the first what was that movie that just came out with not 12 Years a Slave. It was recent. Darn, it's escaping me. But my point is the propaganda to vilify the black man has been going on for a long time. Since slavery. Black men have been, when they first depicted black men on screen, that they put the fear into white people that black men were going to come and rape white women. That was just, a fear. Birth of a Nation is the movie I'm thinking about.
I thought you were thinking
the second one, the most recent one. Yeah. The one with Nat Parker, Nat Turner, all that. That's the. But the very first one was a terrible movie. It was the first like major blockbuster movie, but it. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but the propaganda has always been there, man. It's always been vilifying black men. But the point is, man, this man was not armed. The police obviously made a mistake, and there's no punishment for it. They killed somebody and they just get paid leave. Right. And I guarantee you, these guys are not gonna serve any jail time.
Yeah. And one more thing, when it comes to what you were saying, like the propaganda and all that, white supremacy has made the greatest Jedi mind trick, according to Aries Spears. He said they have really tricked people into thinking that black people are so dangerous, and they just put all the negative things on black people, when in reality, it's them that do it. And just think about it. We've talked about in this episode many times about Christianity, about how the Spanish and others have came over to conquer stuff. And what they did was they would come, rape, the women, and they would, kill innocent people and say, hey, you better accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. And if you don't, off with your head. And they've done this throughout time. And they've raped, they've done everything that they accuse black people of looking suspicious on, whatever. Every negative way you could think of a black person, the way that they're looked at, is what white supremacists have done for a very long time, for centuries. When you look at history, they will try to sugarcoat it. Oh, Thanksgiving, they went and they had dinner with some Indians and everything was nice. No, they killed those Indians. But that's covered up. And, it's just everything they do. Christopher Columbus, he found America. Actually, dumb shit, he never even stepped foot on America. The closest he ever stepped to was Cuba, which was 90 miles away. So he never even came to America. But that's how history is. And what Christopher Columbus did, he was responsible for killing a lot of black people too. And Indians. Yeah. So it's like, hello? Whatever America tries to paint black people as, we're actually the opposite. And the only way we become like the white supremacists is when you put us in the projects and terrible environments. And then, it does something to our psyche. And some of us don't act right. But guess what? That's not us. That's us being lab rats. The real problem is the white supremacists. They're everything that they accuse black people of. When you sit back and look at it, that's the issue. And it's
Yeah.
based off of fear. That's all it is. A white person who is racist towards black people, they fear them. But they have no idea why they fear them. It's because of that propaganda that you mentioned. And it's the greatest Jedi mind trick, like Eric Spears said. We're not the rapists. We're not the killers. We're not that. You may make us into that, which is called the nigga. But we're not niggas.
Mm-hmm.
We're Moors. This is our country. We've been here way before your slave ships. We're here for thousands of years. You want to go back to the Khoisan? Those are the people that were here. Look, anybody listen to this podcast, 51,700 years ago, they have bones that are that old in South Carolina. So if you don't believe me, just look it up. We've been here.
Yeah.
So when you say go back to your country, we're already here. Thank you. But go ahead.
Yeah. So no. I think that's good, man. And I know we wanted to kind of touch on the protesting, the March for Our Lives movement. I know you kind of alluded to it, but what do you think about that? Again, it was a huge turnout, and it's the reason that they're doing a protest.
I don't care about it. I might sound really sick for saying that, but I don't care about it. If you don't care about black kids being killed in Chicago all the time, if you don't care about black kids being killed in inner cities all the time, and police officers killing innocent people, I don't want you to wait until this annual march comes along. Forget that. So I don't care about it. But what you guys say about it?
Well, no, I think that I hate that there's a discrepancy in like when black people say, hey, we need to talk about an issue versus when white people do it.
Yeah.
But I do think that the conversation needs to be had about gun reform. So I'm not gonna completely give it an L.
It's not an L. It's just something that I don't care about, because if they don't care, if the news media does not care about black women being raped and stuff like that, if they don't care about black men, innocent black men being shot in front of their kids, if they don't care about stuff like that, then I don't care about this little march that you bring celebrities to and everybody's going crazy because Martin Luther King's 9-year-old granddaughter is speaking. That's great. But do I care about it? No, because nothing's going to change tomorrow. So, yeah, marching is cool, but I'm all about solutions. That's the problem with America. We've always protested. We've always marched. We never sit down as a unit and come with a solution. So you can march all you want. That sounds nice. It's cool. It's cute. But what are we getting to at the end of the day? Like, there's nothing. So I can care less.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping though that the marching leads to some change. Like we've seen in the past, that usually that's not how it goes. But I mean, I think there's a few things that I'm hearing that I hope actually come to fruition, because like some of the students are being very direct. And I think it's good that young people are finding a passion and getting behind this. But I think, what I like that they're saying is like, hey, if you don't change this stuff like we want to, we're not gonna vote you back in. And I just hope that is true. Now again, you do have the really conservative viewpoints who are just gonna keep the people in, no matter what. So is it a easy task to accomplish? No, but I think these politicians, man, they comfortable, man. Like they comfortable, and I'm hoping this just makes them uncomfortable and makes them realize that. I mean, that's the whole point of you being in office, is like to be able to instill the will of the people. If the people are saying, hey man, we need to look at this, we want some change, do it. Like it's not about you. Like that's where I think politics really get mixed up. So no, I definitely understand the the criticism. Like, man, I mean, usually we haven't seen protests really do anything other than force conversation. But that's no fault of the people protesting to me. That's the people who are in power, just like not, making any change. They're being stubborn. So I'm hoping that this is different. I'm hoping this is different.
Do you hear yourself saying, I hope? Do you hear that?
No, I know.
And, right. So all it was at the end of the day, it was a parade that makes you feel better about yourself. That's pretty much what it was. So honestly, that's the reason why I don't care about it. But, the next person might feel different, which is perfectly fine. My thing is with the kids, right? I salute them 1000%. I think it's great that they're being active, and I hope, since the kids are the future, I hope that these same kids, have that same energy, 10 years from now or whatever, and decide to continue to try to push for change. I think that's a beautiful thing. So don't get me wrong when I say I don't care. That's great. I'm just talking about I don't care in the aspects of it holding some type of weight in which some type of change is going to occur in sometime soon. Like, I really don't care about that, especially, like I said, when innocent black people are murdered all the time, when you have a problem like Chicago, in which I was told that, the Parkland kids, they wanted to, kind of like share the stage with Chicago and stuff like that. I mean, that sounds nice, but the media is not going to do that. So once again, I really don't care about stuff like that when black people are pretty much being forgotten on purpose every single time. So that is the reason why I don't care. Until they care about black people and their issues, I could care less about a great funded, march, with survivors and stuff like that. But, that's just me.
All right, so last topic, the Austin bomber. This was something that we kind of wanted to cover last week, but just kind of got lost in the shuffle. But I think it's a good time to cover it because the kind of situation has come to a climax. It's came to an end, and the individual. Again, I don't remember this dude's name. I'll look it up here. But it's not important. What's important is what he did and how the media portrayed him.
His name is Mark Anthony Condit.
Okay. So yeah, this guy, was sending bombs to black homes, the homes of black, like successful black people, killing, injuring them. And he ended up blowing himself up in a vehicle or something like that. So terrible situation. This may sound like news to you because it wasn't really like a front page thing. Wonder why. And yeah, so I got a few opinions on the situation, but Sal, what do you think about the whole Austin bomber thing and the fact that this guy was targeting black people and all that stuff?
Yeah, just to piggyback off of that, he also got a couple Hispanics as well. The thing that got me, and this is what does it, he didn't get caught until he tried to attack white people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so they decide, oh, you're killing black people? We're not even going to try to capture you. No, hey, just keep it up. The moment he harms white people, within 48 hours, they find him. Amazing how law enforcement works. Amazing. But besides that, I mean, I've seen the picture of him. Well, I've seen two pictures of him. I saw the clean cut picture in which the news and the media decided to give us, and I saw the crazy deranged pedophile looking guy, who turned out to be the same guy. And it amazes me. He was a challenged man and a devout Christian, and it's it's sad that someone would blow themselves up. He had so much to offer. Um, Even though in his video, in his confession recording, he called himself a psychopath, but you will
Mm.
not hear the media calling him that. I mean,
Right,
the
right.
officer that was in charge, or the sheriff or whatever he was, he said he was a challenged man. Come on, really,
Mm-hmm.
really? That's what you want to do. So when a white, this is what they prove every single time. When a crazy, no, I'm not even gonna say crazy. When a white male decides to kill people as a domestic terrorist, they refuse to call it terrorism. They refuse
Mm-hmm.
to call it domestic terrorism, and it sickens me because I even think the sheriff or whoever has said that this wasn't terrorism. This was somebody who was challenged and whatever, giving us a sob story about, you know, a white male that clearly doesn't deserve a sob story. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a whole bunch of BS. But what do you think about it?
Well, no, I'm glad you brought up that thing about the picture because, again, um, it's sad. I'm kind of getting tired of talking about it, honestly, because you get worn out just in how much um propaganda and misleading information is put out there. Like, why this guy's a terrorist, man? He had a list of targets. If
Yep.
this was a brown man with a beard and a turban, and a headdress
Oh,
doing the
he out of
same
there.
thing, right? We would have been talking about Muslim bans again. We would have been, people would have been protesting. And again, that's because of what has been instilled into us as a society.
Yep.
That, certain people are dangerous. Um, again, tying back to the Stephon Clark situation. And certain races and certain people are dangerous and certain ones are not. Like, and it's just it's sickening, man. Like, it's funny how like the media sources are able to find like the worst pictures of the black guys, right? you know
Always.
then and they put those out there and they find their criminal history and they find all these things. But call this dude what he is, man. He's a terrorist. He's a terrorist.
Yep.
He had a list of targets and he was blowing people up. you know
Yep.
like
Mm-hmm.
that's what else do we need? You know what I'm saying? And then mental health and all these things, these other factors come into play. Which I'm not saying that's not the case, but that you're not about to use that as an excuse, like
Nope.
because the black men and women, and the brown men and women, are not getting that same opportunity. They're not being afforded that same opportunity. And I'm pretty sure this guy would have, if he didn't choose to take his life, I think he would have been alive. You know,
Mm-hmm.
just because of the color of his skin. So,
Oh yeah, he definitely would have been alive.
again, selective outrage. Um, I mean, it's nothing else to say, man. Like, if you can't see it at this point, if you cannot clearly see at this point that there's something going on in America, with race and how individuals are being portrayed, then I don't know what to tell you. Like, I seriously don't know what to say. Like, there's too many case studies and examples that we've seen over the past few years. Yeah. So.
No, it's called fuck 'em, pretty much. Like if you really
Yeah.
don't understand, you pretty much you really don't want to understand, or you're being a
Mm-hmm.
complete asshole and acting as if like like you don't know, and it's sickening.
Yeah.
And if
It's
you're not
stupid.
on this side, fuck you. I mean, honestly. I mean,
Yeah.
I hope you breathe, and I wish you well, but at the same time, I don't care.
Right. So yeah, obviously, it's unfortunately some things that we've seen in the past, and um, we're tired of, kind of like what you said with the March for Our Lives. Like, we're kind of tired of bringing it up and drawing attention, and we need to see some change, man, because people are dying out here, and people are um being painted in a picture that is not favorable just because of the color of their skin. And it's affecting how people live their lives, man. So it's sad. But hopefully our platform can enlighten the mind to do something, man. Cause we got to do something, or I'm moving to another country.
Right.
Shit,
Yeah, I can see that happening. I gotta go somewhere tropical.
Man, what? With some water and some sun and
some
somewhere I can play golf.
Comes from trees.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Somewhere where I know the food ain't being poisoned.
Yeah, here's some coconut oil and fun.
But yeah, so
coconut juice.
We're gonna call it on that. Hopefully, again, the things that we discussed are things that you all are thinking about and wondering about, and again, I challenge everybody who's listening. Don't just keep this to yourself, or don't just talk to people who agree with you. Talk to somebody who you doesn't agree, or who you think may not see eye to eye with you. I mean, because that's what we need. We need people who are on different sides of the issue to come together and discuss this stuff, man. Because they need to understand
and punch them in the face.
Right. If that's what's needed,
I'm just playing, guys. Playing, guys.
Right. We're not promoting violence. Don't do that. Punch him in the face metaphorically with the knowledge that you're bringing from the show.
Exactly,
you know
brother.
What I'm saying?
Exactly.
but anyway, but yeah, Sal, you got anything you want to leave the people with, man?
Oh man, our perceptions are reality. The news pretty much depicts us as nothing worth anything. I mean, we're pretty much today still 3/5 human, and we don't have souls, so therefore we get treated like it. It doesn't matter what we actually are, it's how we're perceived, and that's where our perception is our reality. So yeah, that's it.
All right, people, do your research. Never take our word for it. Again, challenge you to talk to somebody about this stuff. Please like, share, subscribe. Again, we're going to try to continue to expand the content, make the videos better, all that good stuff. So thanks for rocking with us. Hope you enjoy it, and we will get with y'all next week.
Ashe. Shower.